Good morning, Unity and Marin. There's a group of people behind me. Guess what? It's Choir Sunday. And we're going to start the service with a different kind of song, just because there are people around the world who are objects of hatred because of their religion, and we want to honor the fact that we have Jewish brothers and sisters, and today is another holiday as well. And so we're going to sing a song called Hine Matov, and we want you to help us. So I will tell you the words mean how good and pleasant it is for brothers or sisters to dwell together in unity. And the words are Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achiot Gam Yachad. So we're going to help you. We'll sing it through the first time so that you know, and then we're going to see if we can sing it in parts. Isn't that beautiful? You just have to give it a second. And we're going to totally switch you up, invite you to stand, and we're going to sing Joy to the World.
Christmas. We're so glad you are all here. Everything is decorated, the lights, the ornaments. Oh, and speaking of ornaments, I just have to say this. My name is Lisa Starbird. And I'm here to lead you through the service today, and I'm very happy to do that. So, as a community, Unity of Marin, we came up with a vision statement. Consciously, we did this. So please join me and say this together. We are a spiritual community committed to authenticity and the expression of love and support for each other in living an awakened, enlightened life. And next, we would like you to join us in singing our Advent song that was written by our music director, Carolyn Gauthier.
As we prepare for our time of prayer, I'd like for us to be praying for our world, our country, the different things that are going on in our world and country. Last night, the longest night of the year in terms of darkness, was also the memorial for the homeless, those who have died that are homeless. 13,000 people a year die who are homeless. We'll be hearing a little bit more about that in the message. But a number of them are young people. Almost 40% of our homeless population are below age 18. Now, someone was online saying, well, I don't see them at the soup lines. Well, they're at school, or they're in the shadows. Sometimes they're in very vulnerable places where they don't have access to health care or protection from sexual exploitation. So, our word for the day is joy. And we've lit the Advent candles, and the pink one, which is one of my favorites, is joy. The Latin is gaudete, the gaudete candle, joy, which means to rejoice. And how do we rejoice? when there's so much going on in our world, we know that there's only one power and one presence. So I invite you, if you wish, to close your eyes or relax your gaze and focus on that presence of God right where we are. The presence of God, fully and completely present right where we are, living itself as us. Right where we are, the presence of God is, whether we are love streaming or whether we are sitting here physically, where we are, God is. And in this presence of God, Spirit, we open our hearts. We open our hearts to love. We open ourselves to intelligence, to beauty, to creativity, to all that Spirit is. Knowing where we are, there is wholeness, there is peace. We lift up our homeless population. We lift up those who are affected by natural disasters or man-made tragedy. We lift up our environment. We lift up the various things that are facing us in our day, knowing that where we are, the light of joy is burning bright, for the presence of God is living in, through, and as us. In this moment, we lift up the concerns of our hearts. We lift up our joys. We lift up our concerns and sorrows. We lift up who we are, knowing that who we are is loved, who we are is celebrated, knowing who we are is the presence of God in action. And for this, we give thanks and rejoice. And so it is. Amen.
My greatest joy is discovering the presence of God within me. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote that joy is the happiness of God expressed through humankind. Witnessing the unbridled joy of children on Christmas morning brings a smile to my face and gives me a warm feeling. Although my childhood may be a distant memory, joy remains an active part of my life. I find joy in the beauty of holiday decorations, in the fellowship of family and friends, and in giving and receiving gifts and love. I discover that my greatest joy is knowing and feeling the presence of God. I recognize and rejoice in God's presence and see it in everyone I meet. I know that joy is always present and can be called into expression at every moment. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, and faithfulness in the silence. Gently now back into the room as we sing.
This next song is really beautiful, and the choir will be singing different things at different times. They're supposed to be. Just hold on, because you're in for a gentle treat. It's called Christmas Lullaby.
Welcome home. Welcome to a place where you are celebrated regardless of your sexual orientation, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your faith background or lack thereof. We recognize the truth of you, that you are the presence of God in action. So we welcome you home. And if this is your first time here or first time since I became the senior minister here, we have ushers who are going to bring you a gift. Who doesn't like a nice gift, right? I mean, these are nice cups with our logo on them, and these are thermal cups. You can carry them in your car. So if this is your first time here or first time since I became the senior minister, would you please raise your hand? Anybody? Right over here? Oh, thank you for being here. And right back here? Thank you. Right back here? Thank you. Good to see you again. Yeah. Anyone else? All right. So good to have all of you here. And it's great to have our wonderful love streamers here. Love streamers watch us from Taiwan, Congo, France, Nigeria. Those are some of the countries I've identified on our analytics. I'm looking to see because I know there's also a Denmark connection and there's some others. So we are so grateful that you're here with us. If we could look at this side camera and wave to our wonderful love streamers. I know a number of you watch from Hawaii, so I give you a shaka and mele kalikimaka. And we are so grateful to have each and every one of you with us. We know that God is fully present there as here, and we are one family here together. So as we prepare to give a blessing to our new people and to our love streamers, if you would get the energy going here. There you go. And extend your hands out to all of our wonderful new people and our love streamers and everyone in between. Please repeat after me. We bless you.
We bless you.
We recognize who you really are.
We recognize who you really are.
You are the love and light of God.
You are the love and light of God.
Here on this planet.
Here on this planet.
To do amazing things. And we are here to support you, to love you, to celebrate you. Welcome to Unity. Let's give them some love. Thank you. And on the slide behind me is a phone number that you can text. And if you're new here, you can text the word welcome. You'll get a digital card that will ask for some basic information, and that way we can stay in touch by way of text and email. And also, if you've been here a while, you can go to that same number and text the word loop so that I can update you as to special things that are going on. It's wonderful to have you all here. Thank you for being here. The prayer box. Thank you. Momo, you've been holding the space there. Bless your heart. Momo is one of our wonderful prayer chaplains. You know, Carolyn was down here mouthing something. Thank you. And in this prayer box are our prayers, and these will be back in the narthex at the end of the service. So you can put your prayer requests in there. We hold those in prayer, and then we send them the silent unity to be held in prayer for an additional 30 days. Thank you.
To do some amazing things. Yes? I'm here to highlight just a few of those things that are coming up for us. There will be no Wednesday service this Wednesday. Why? Because it's Christmas. Yay. But Tuesday night, we have Christmas Eve services. We have one at 5 and one at 7, and it's a candle lighting service, and it's just beautiful. So you definitely want to be here. And the next slide, if you bring a friend, you will get a gift. And even I don't know what it is. So be here, get the gift, have the great night. It's a wonderful, beautiful night. Sunday, December 29th, Reverend Medora Gordon and Cindy Acker, our choir director, will be presenting a very special Kwanzaa service. That day is actually the day of cooperation and economics, and you have an opportunity to participate in that topic by bringing soul food, S-O-U-L. Yeah, so to share with each other. So where are you going to be on New Year's Eve? What are we going to be doing? That's right. We have created a tradition here for many years now. And on New Year's Eve, for those of you that don't know, we celebrate from 7:30 to 9:30. We do an early New Year's Eve. So we count down with New York at 9. We have a champagne toast at 9. We drum out the old and we drum in the new with intention, with meditation, and as well as movement. We have young kids, we have older folks, we have everything, everybody. It's just a really special night. Last year we had over 160 people here, and let me tell you, it was really magical, and it was such a powerful way to start the year in community. And as we do that in community, you can go home then and go to bed, or you can go out and go to another party, whichever works for you, but it's so close too. So it's just, put that one on your calendar, because Connect is going to be leading the drum circle, and myself, we're going to be having a good time. On January 5th, our first Sunday of each year, we have our annual Burning Bowl celebration. And this year, we're doing it in the spirit of aloha. So we invite you to wear your Hawaiian wonderful clothes and be part of that ceremony of letting go. And that is also really special, too. So now, if you'll please stand as you're able and join us in singing our statement of truth.
So this song is a remake of Handel's Messiah by Quincy Jones. It has a little bit of hip to it. We think you'll enjoy it.
Hallelujah,
Thank you, choir, and thank you, Cindy. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. And it's a joy to have all of you here. In Hawaii, we say Mele Kalikimaka, and I have my Hawaiian Christmas lei on. It is so good to have you all here. And today we're looking at joy. Joy is this pink candle of the Advent candle. We're leading up to Christmas Eve, where we will light the center white candle, which is the Christ candle. And joy to the world. Let's look at these passages of Scripture. There's two Gospels in the Christian Scriptures that show the birth of Jesus, and they're in Matthew and in Luke. So in Luke chapter 2, and this is from the Voice translation. The Voice translation is made up of Hebrew and Greek and Bible scholars and artists and drama people, folks like that, and poets and writers. And so they got together to make this translation. Nearby in the fields outside of Bethlehem, a group of shepherds were guarding their flocks from predators in the darkness of night. Now, Bethlehem, in Hebrew, Bethlehem, is the house of bread. The house of bread, that's what that means. And the house of sustenance, the house of where you receive what you need. They were outside the house. Have you ever been on the outside? For whatever reason, maybe because of sexual orientation or because of color or because of ethnicity or because, I don't know, they just thought you were weird. Who knows? Have you ever been outside the house and you wonder, where do I belong? Okay, so they were outside. A group of shepherds were guarding their flocks from predators in the darkness of night. Have you ever been in the night? That place of darkness, that place where it maybe felt predatory, where you weren't sure if you were safe or not. You weren't sure of the light. Remember that not only are these talking about events that actually happen, but it's talking about our own spiritual consciousness, the evolution of our own consciousness. So many of us have experienced darkness in our lives, and this time of the year, it seems more dark. I remember, earlier that, wow, it'd start getting light out like at 5:15 or something. Now it's 8 o'clock, and maybe even then it's not light. It's this time of year where we are looking at the contrast of the light and the dark. And it's amazing that in the darkness, the light shines all the more brightly. So don't get discouraged about the darkness. So the shepherds were guarding their flocks at night. Suddenly, a messenger of the Lord, an angel, a messenger of the Lord, stood in front of them, and the darkness was replaced by a glorious light, the shining light of God's glory. They were terrified. Maybe you wouldn't be, but if you were in the dark and suddenly some bright being of light showed up and lit up the whole place, I don't know, some of you might be scared. Some of you might be like, hey, how you doing? It's been a while. But they were terrified. Next slide. Don't be afraid. Listen. I bring good news. News of great joy. News that will affect all people everywhere. Wow, that's universal. Sometimes I've been accused of being a universalist. That God's love, mercy, grace, peace, joy, self-livingness is available to all people. Well, it's right there. Will affect all people everywhere. Today, in the city of David, which is Bethlehem, a liberator has been born for you. He is the promised anointed one, the supreme authority. You will know him. You will know you have found him when you see a baby wrapped in a blanket, lying in a feeding trough. That's what a manger is. Have you seen mangers? These maybe pictures or paintings. You see these wooden things, and it looks sort of like a crib, but no, it's not a crib. It's a feeding trough. And when Joseph and Mary were on their way to be registered, it came time for her to give birth to Jesus. And evidently, there wasn't room in the inn. There wasn't room in the hotel or the lodging place. And they found some place where the animals were. That's why there was a feeding trough there. It wasn't because some Sunday school teacher had prearranged the set and got the shepherds and got the wise men and no. They found what was available. And so Jesus was born in a very common way, one of us. When you look at the manger, it's very rough. It's very, not necessarily, I kind of like rough wood, but it's not something that's made to be real gilded and attractive. And yet, in that manger was the Christ. And again, remember, this represents about us, about our consciousness, that no matter who you are, no matter how you show up on the outside, the divine presence, the I am presence, the presence that God is, because we know there's truly only one power and one presence active as us and as the universe, God, the good omnipotence. That presence, we're like the manger. You're really not the body. What you are was never born. What you are will never die. What you are is this eternal presence, this eternal spirit, the presence that God is. It may look like a manger on the outside, but on the inside, you're God. Let that sink in. So when you see somebody that's homeless, as I was driving recently, might have been in the city, I'm trying to remember, but saw a teenager that looked like they were homeless. And I couldn't help but to think about what led up to them being in that position. What led up to them being deserted, and maybe they had run away from home. About 40% of the homeless population is 18 years or younger. In our country, at least in about 2016, there were 3.5 million homeless people in what is considered to be a very prosperous country, United States of America. 3.5 million people. And of those people, 1.5 million are 18 or younger. Now, I'm trying to dig into the statistics. There are some groups, some sites that say that the average age, and I'm still trying to check out the validity of this, but there are some sites that say that the average age of the homeless is 9 years old. Now, there was someone online that said, but I don't see them at the soup lines. I don't see them at the kitchens. I don't see them in the homeless shelters. No! They're staying in a car somewhere, or they may stay at different places each night. Find someone here to stay with, sleep in a church that night, sleep under a bridge that night, sleep in a car that night, but they may still be going to school. There's a number of homeless children who they're going to school. And whether you know it or not, some of them have been here. It's not that far away. And so how do we say joy in the midst of all that? And, I think back on this time when Jesus was born 2,000 years ago, there was a king named Herod. Herod liked all the power and all the glory for himself. He didn't want to share it with anybody. When the Magi, the wise people, showed up, the people who were astrologers and came from the east, they came to Herod and they said, "We've come to find the one that is born the King of the Jews. We see his star. And Herod's like, oh, a king. Come back when you found him and bring me word, because I want to go and worship him too. I want some of that. But that isn't his intent. He was furious when they did not return, because his plan was to kill Jesus at that moment. He didn't want anybody else to be king. He wanted it. So, what does this represent in Scripture? It represents the adverse ego that wants to be in control of everything and does not want the true self, the Christ self, the I am presence, the real presence that we are, doesn't want it to come forth and keeps it hidden, tries to kill it off, tries to shut it down. Have you ever had something that's trying to shut you down? Trying to shut down what you really are? Maybe it's come through the voice of someone around you, or maybe it's come through your upbringing. Maybe you were told that, who do you think you are to do that? I was thinking the last couple of weeks about a 16-year-old girl with Asperger's. Okay, 16, Asperger's. Okay, what could a 16-year-old with Asperger's do? Well, she got very, very concerned about climate change. She got very concerned about things that are going on in the world. She was very concerned about what's happening. And whether or not you agree with this, Time magazine decided to make her Person of the Year. And I was watching Greta Thunberg give a speech to the European Union. You know, she's very quiet, and she's just kind of looking around. And when it's her time to speak, she says, "Hello, my name is Greta Thunberg. I'm 16 years old, and I want you to panic." And she's just very clear about it. And she said, some people tell me, don't say that. Don't say panic, because panic doesn't help the political process. Panic doesn't help create creative solutions. But she went on to say, but if your house is on fire, a bit of panic can help to take immediate action. And so she was encouraging that. And I've watched how this 16-year-old girl with Asperger's, which is like on the autism spectrum, has helped to mobilize an entire generation and, in many ways, the world for positive action. So, I ask you, what is your excuse? You are the presence of God. You really are. I mean, whatever your sexual orientation, whatever your age, whatever your economic status, I mean, Jesus was born into a very poor economic status. His family was traveling, somewhat like immigrants. There wasn't any place for them. He was born into a very vulnerable position. Not the best of beginnings. How about you? What could you do if you are, in fact, the presence of God in action? If, in fact, you are the self-livingness of God, what could you accomplish? Could anything be impossible to you? This is not a rhetorical question. Could anything be impossible to you if you're the presence of God in action? Is there anything that could stop you from achieving what you are here to do if you are, in fact, the presence of God in action? No. You are so much more valuable and important than you have realized. Oh, no, maybe you do realize it. Maybe you are self-realized. Maybe you understand that when you look in the mirror, that's the presence of God looking back upon itself. Maybe you realize that when you go to the train station at Richmond or Emeryville, that these people who are just scraping and getting by are the presence of God in action, and you can't wait to talk with them and connect with them because you know the wisdom of God lies therein. Maybe when you see the homeless, you realize that you are the light of God. You are the joy of God. You are the one to help lift them up and help create economic justice, to help create fair and equitable treatment for the mentally ill and those who have been caught in the cycle of addiction. Maybe you are the one that sees the need for affordable housing. Maybe you're the one who every day sees that you are here to bring forth the glory of God, to do what Jesus said in the Lord's Prayer, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Maybe every day you are self-realized. But if you're not, I invite you to wake up. I know we're all at different stages of this, learning to wake up. Sometimes when some of us first wake up, like me, sometimes it takes a long time. You know, I wake up early, but it's like, oh my goodness, I'm not awake. It might take a couple hours till I'm really awake, you know? I mean, I'm up, I'm doing stuff. Sometimes I'm not awake until I've been at work for a couple hours, you know? So don't be discouraged if you're not fully awakened, you know? I mean, but that's what we're here to do. And that's what these passages of Scripture about the birth of Jesus are about. It's about not just the birth of this magnificent master leader, my master, Jesus. It's about the birth of the Christ in us today. That's why there's joy to the world, because that Christ presence is alive today in, through, and as us. Wherever you are, in the Congo, in Nigeria, in Taiwan, the presence of God is waking up as you, wherever you are. Now, some of you are saying, well, I'm young, I'm little, I can't do much, but some of those children with such clarity and spiritual depth have touched me and touched our world. Every day, the Montessori school comes by my window and shouts to me and waves and says, "Hi, Reverend Tim. Hi, Reverend Tim. Look at my new boots. Look at my new sweater." And I'm like, wow, they just light up the world. And some of you are saying, well, I'm retired. You know, it's someone else's turn. I've had people tell me that before. They've said, oh, I'm retired. It's someone else's turn. Really? Where is that written? It's time to turn from being retired to being refired, to go from retirement to refirement. We need your wisdom. We need your maturity. That's the reason you've lived this long. You're needed. You're not just here to, soak up Social Security and Medicare. I mean, those are wonderful things, but you are here to shine your light. We need your wisdom. Many cultures, as a person goes on in years, they are highly esteemed because they are respected for their wisdom, their experience. And in our culture, sometimes we almost worship a particular look and style of living, and it's like, wait a minute, there's so much wisdom in this room, so much wisdom with our love streamers. Don't hide your light. Now, Herod in Scripture represents that adverse ego that wants to put out the Christ light, that wants to shut down the Christ, that wants to shut down the I am presence. Don't let Herod shut you down. Some of you may be collaborating with Herod. Some of you may say, yeah, I'm just little old me. Someone else can do it. Nothing much little old me can do. Like faith in action, you know. I'm thinking about when I was living in low-income housing and I was paying off debts that I hadn't even known about, and I was raising my son, and not the highest of salaries. I thought, there's something I can do in terms of giving. Doesn't matter how little I make. I can always celebrate what I have, because as long as I give, it means I have something to give. I made that decision. You know, and I had found myself in a big career change. Woo! I had gone through lots of trauma, I won't go into all that. Loved hospital ministry, became a hospital chaplain, and for a while specialized in psychiatry, you know, leading groups, doing personal counseling with people, and at times I would feel sorry for myself. And then I would work with the mentally ill. I would work with the drug addicts and people who are alcoholics. And I would find so much grace and beauty in them. And it was so powerful when some of them would begin to realize that the presence of God was living in them. That they were not junk. They were not broken. They had some things that were different, some different challenges, and they had to know that, but they began to realize what they could bring to this world. And to see some of the mentally ill become contributors to our society, and to be able to stand up for causes, and to be able to interact in our world and touch people's lives. I thought, wow, I get to be part of that. What do you want to be part of? Now, here's the thing, you know, and it talks about this like in the Bhagavad Gita. It's up to you. Great awakening and love and victory can occur with you or without you. Which would you choose? Wouldn't you rather be a part of it? Wouldn't you rather bring forth that presence of God in our day? What could be possible? What could happen just with those who are here right now? You might say, well, you know, we're just Unity and Moran. You are the spiritual center of the universe. Whatever you decide, whatever, as Jesus said, be it done to you according to your belief. Whatever you decide and decree and act on, the presence of God is going forth before you to create a way. The universe is conspiring on your behalf. Just step into it. The water's fine. Jump in. If you start to go under, someone will throw out a little life thingy and pull you up. But jump in. You will be sustained by the presence of God, because that presence is propelling itself forth as you, wanting to give birth to the Christ in this day. We're not just celebrating what happened 2,000 years ago. We're celebrating who you are today. You are here to bring birth to the Christ today. You know, you may swear like a sailor. You may have issues. You may have gone through things. It's the manger. You're here to give birth to that presence of God as you. And really, if we knew the story of every single person in this room, we would know that every single one here, or those of you who are love streaming, are heroes. You have come through difficult times. Some of you have had difficult loss in your lives. Some of you have faced financial adversities. Some of you may be unemployed. Some of you may be homeless. Some of you have gone through mental illness or depression or anxiety. Some of you have gone through some tremendous physical challenges. But no matter what you have gone through, there's always been a presence that has helped you to keep going. And that is the presence of God pressing forward as you. It cannot be stopped. It cannot be killed. Let it come forth. Just allow it. That's the cool thing. Just allow it. Allow it to come forward. Stop talking to Herod. Herod wants to shut you down. Herod wants to shut down that Christ presence. Stop talking to the adverse ego. I've talked to Herod in some very, very strong ways. Stronger than maybe I should on a Sunday morning here right now. But tell Herod where to go. Seriously, tell Herod where to go. So that the real you, the Christ you, the divine you can come forth and be the presence of God in this day, to give birth to the Christ in this day. That is what we are here to do. Thank you. Thank you. I see you resonate with that, the truth of that. Your soul knows the truth of that. So let's say an affirmation together to kind of really sink it in. Repeat after me, please. I am the light of the world. I am giving birth to the presence of God in this day. Nothing can stop me. I can do this. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. And we're going to hear from Robert, and then we're going to hear from Al, who are going to share with us briefly. Thank you so much.
I always like to take a moment to be here. If you've never been up here and just felt the beauty and love, I feel bathed by the presence of beauty and love this morning. So some of you know of my story. About 12 years ago, my wife passed, and I needed community. I needed a spiritual community. And I looked around, and I came to Unity, and I was so touched by you all. I fell in your arms. I fell in the arms of love here. And since then, I have volunteered and been of service. It's part of how I love. Is when I love, I want to give something. I think we all can feel that. So I have 4 things that I'm deeply grateful for and why I pledge each year to faith in action. I'd like to share that with you. The first one has to do with the programs and the services that we have. To come here on Sunday or Wednesday evening or all the different services and opportunities that we have. To be bathed by the presence of light and love that Reverend Tim and Medora bring to us and that we all feel deeply. The second is the leadership and the leadership of wisdom that we have here. And we have over 150 volunteers that actually make this happen, make the community unfold and the programs happen. And I just, if you could raise your hand, those who have volunteered, and I'd like you just to look around. Look around. It's like we have an abundance of volunteers that are serving. We're so grateful for that. The third is Unity's mission and purpose. This presence of loving light that we are, that we bring into the world, and that this presence, divine presence, into action. The world is involved in social transformative change, and the unity movement is an integral part of that. And that's a deep blessing that all of us, each soul here, each heart, is engaged in uplifting the world. The fourth is you, is this community of presence, of loving presence. That is extraordinary. And to me, that's a joy of coming here every Sunday and of being of service. So I'm going to leave you with a couple points regarding the faith in action. The first is we are the body of presence manifest, right? And how I see it, there's two backbones of this body that really uplift it and make it happen. That is the wisdom leadership that we all are. And the second is the pledges that we give in faith and action. That is energy. That's divine energy. So what I'm asking all of you is that this year you give what you can. And if you can only pledge $5 or $10 a week or a month, please do. I just left the board of trustees a little while ago, and they're engaged continually with the financial end of our community. And it's so important that we step up and we engage in our pledges. So I hope you do that. What a blessing it is to be here. What a joy during Christmas. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. That was great. Great talk, Reverend Tim. So I'm Al Gaspari. I'm here from the Board of Trustees to give an update on our metrics and also to draw a name for our brunch with Reverend Tim. So Unity and Marin's Board of Trustees has two metrics around faith and action that we track. And the first is participation. So it's really important that participation, if you feel engaged, if you feel moved by this message, if you feel engaged and enlightened by this community, to you complete your Faith in Action pledge and turn it in. As Robert said, like, the amount of money is not as important as having as many people to show that they're committed. So there's an opportunity here. You can put $5, $10, $0, and then just say, I'm going to pledge 10% of unexpected income. This is for those of you that might be small business owners that are looking at, growth in your business, or you might be experiencing a little bit of financial lack right now, but it's not set up for that. So it's, even if it is, no amount is too small, and that's first off. The second metric is around the amount of money that we've collected for Faith in Action. So it's important to know that Unity Marin is a small business. We're self-contained with that activity. So the way that I look at it is I have an opportunity to invest in Unity and Marin and for our family, to allow for Tim, Medora, and the rest of the leadership team to spend more time on the things that I feel are important in this world. I was at the evacuation centers in Santa Rosa during the fires, and I saw all the kids living in the cars. And, they look like the kids that are in my son's classes. They look like the kids I coach on Little League. That's really upsetting. I gave more after that, because I know not so much that we can help all of those kids through Unity and Marin, but when I see business leaders, political leaders, and others in this room, I know that they're making decisions that are going to alleviate those challenges. And I want to make sure that Tim has the resources to go out and talk to as many people as possible to shine that light. So I ask you all to think about that as we come up to year end. There's some tax benefits to donating before year end. You can fill out your form here. It's in the back of the chair in front of you. You can also go talk to Sarah, who's at the hub in the room. There she is. She will be in the hub, and to get set up. Or you can go online when you get home. It takes about 3 minutes online. It's really easy. It's really set. So if you have any questions, contact the office. Please consider giving now and increasing your gift for next year. But most importantly, please show that you're committed to this community. Thank you. And the drawings. Red hat. All right. This is for brunch with Reverend Tim. And online givers too, please, it's really important for you to give. And you don't have to go to brunch with Tim, but we'll figure something out if you win. Depending on where they are. Yeah, Tim can go to see you. Hillary Mandel.
Yeah, maybe I can go where you are. The Congo or Nigeria. I have been invited to come to Nigeria. So anyway, if our ushers would come forward at this time. And as we get our offerings and our tithes ready. Doesn't it feel good to circulate the divine light that we are? So if you would like to, repeat after me. I bless this offering I bless this offering in the consciousness that it represents infinite substance. I am grateful. I am joyful. I'm lit up. I'm shining my light. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.
This next song by the choir, we couldn't quite do by ourselves, and so we need a little help from you. I think you'll know it when you hear it. It has the word deck fa, la, 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 la. I think you can do it.
Ushers, come forward. If you would extend your hands to this offering. We bless this offering, knowing that it will go forth to touch ministries of this church, to touch people's lives. That's what it's about. We accept the challenge to give birth to the Christ in our day, to be the light of the world. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
You too can be part of this choir. They meet on Tuesday nights, and you don't even have to audition. So think about it for a New Year's thing to do, because they're great. Thank you, choir. You are awesome. So you'll see on the slide behind me the Youth of Unity. We have a wonderful team of teachers and many great kids and a vibrant program going on. So if you know anybody that has children, let them know so they can be part of our family as well. And I also want to acknowledge the table over here that is of many faiths, many traditions. The kids last week drew pictures of the sun, and those are on the table as well. Our flower sponsors this week are Lee Allen and Lonnie Young, as well as Dana Masick. And our hospitality sponsors are Linda Nelson and Louise Kerr. And want to say a special thank you to Lee Young for creating the beautiful flower arrangements today. The holiday food donations that are being collected in the narthex out in the lobby are going to be picked up and delivered. So if you have anything, be sure and drop it off there so we can take it away. Will the Unity and Marin prayer chaplains please stand up? These wonderful people are here with their heart. They're here to pray with you about any joy, about any concern. One of my favorite things to do is just to go up to one of them and just say a prayer. And it's always exactly what I needed to hear. And so just give yourself a gift and sit with one of these wonderful people. Thank you, prayer chaplains, for the gift of your sacred service. I also want to take a moment to say thank you to our tech team up there. We've got Connect, Olivia, and Skylar. You guys do what's seen and unseen, and I just really, really appreciate you. The whole community does. So just kind of for a moment here, for me to wrap it up, everyone here has memories and a history of the holidays of some sort, and some are good and some are not so good. And I just want to say, you may see someone crying. How do you treat that person? With tenderness, with love. Now, if you see somebody that's angry or upset, my question to you is, can you treat that angry or upset person the same way we would treat the crying person? Because those are the same emotions. There's some pain behind that. And so if we can at least take the time to just stop and be present and listen, we don't have to fix anybody, but sometimes people just need to be heard. So if we can take that, that would be just take that with you. That's a way for us to shine our light as well during this holiday season and be uplifting to others. And we are making a difference together. That's so there's a ripple effect going on too for all of us. So thank you for that. So now if you'll just stand and together let's say the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And if you'll take the hand of the person next to you, we'll sing our peace song together.